Hi everyone, it's me, Jeffrey, and today is International or National World Theater Day. Yay! So I decided I would just take a few minutes, because Lord knows yesterday I took more than my fair share, to talk about some of my favorite, not what theater means to me, not where I want to go with theater. There's plenty of time for all of that, and I've talked about it with a lot of people all over the place. It's well known what I want to do and the impact I want to have. Right now, I want to talk about some of the plays or musicals that have impacted me. My first favorite musical, the first time I'd ever been introduced to musicals in a heavy sense and more than just watching a movie sense, is Into the Woods. Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Runs a little long, but it's worth the runtime. And if you see Into the Woods Junior, understand that that's only half of the story. There's a whole other chunk that things go nuts, and it's this amalgamation of fairy tales and there's just all of this social commentary on what the ideas we have of what a fairy tale ending is, and what we believe we deserve, what we've earned, and how we see thieves and liars as heroes given the right context. And it just opened my mind to all these things that theater could be. And then when I was Into the Woods in spring of 2011, I played Cinderella's father. That opened my mind to the fact that theater could do a lot, just as much as books and movies could. And that was new to me. I thought plays were just, well, I'll see the movie, or I'll read the book that it was based off of, etc., etc. But being able to perform live, and then eventually the Into the Woods movie did come out, and it was fine. It's one of those things where it's you take something that is so well known in a certain circle of people and inject it into another circle of pop culture and society. You have to pick apart what you're going to put in, because there are things that don't gel as well, etc., etc., blah, blah, blah. This isn't a dissection of Into the Woods. Then Into the Woods was usurped, though. Into the Woods was usurped by Little Shop of Horrors, which was based off of a movie in the 50s or 60s, early 60s, I think, actually. Yeah, early 60s. That was one of Jack Nicholson's first acting roles, was in that movie. Little Shop of Horrors was well, I saw the movie first because Into the Woods was my favorite musical for a long time, and then the high school I graduated from said that they were going to do Little Shop of Horrors, and I wanted to watch Little Shop of Horrors, and I watched it with my brother, and my brother, he was like, I know what character I want to play. I know exactly who I want to play. It's the first customer. Hello, I couldn't help but notice that strange and wonderful plant in the window. My brother was just entranced with that character, and he did get to play that character, and it was awesome. He was so good at it. And so his picture on my phone is still the character from the movie. But Little Shop of Horrors just overtook me, and the music's great, and it's Menken, so of course it's great. And it was awesome. And then I had a very dear friend introduce me to Hamilton, an American Musical, which currently reigns as my #1 favorite musical of all time. I saw it twice when I was in Nashville. My #2 favorite is not Into the Woods or Little Shop of Horrors either. It's Hadestown by Anais Mitchell. And that one you gotta listen to. There's several different, there's the original concept album, and then there was the Canadian performance thing. And then there's the original Broadway cast, who also are principally the same as the West End cast. Oh, excuse me. And I was privileged enough to see last year Hadestown on the West End and on Broadway. And it was not my first West End show, but it was my first Broadway show. And it was extraordinary. And I've talked to Patrick Page. I've emailed him a couple of times. And he's an incredible guy. And Reeve Carney's super sweet. And all the just greatness. You know, I've got my playbill of Hadestown, and it's signed and stuff. And the person I went with stood in line so it could be signed, and because I wanted to go up to the hotel and order room service because we were very hungry. But that was a good day. And it was the same day I saw Hamilton's grave at Trinity Church. And the Hamilton an American Musical is just it affects me in a way that is pretty rare. And then, of course, there are other musicals that I'm really fond of. To name my couple of my favorite Weber musicals, Evita. Really like Evita. Evita was my first show at TPAC that wasn't a field trip, and it was extraordinary. My very dear friend, who's currently in. She lives in New York, but she's currently in Cape Cod right now because of the virus. She was in the ensemble, and so I went to visit her. And I actually saw Evita the day before my 21st birthday party, maybe 22nd. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think 21st. Anyway, but my favorite Weber musical is absolutely Jesus Christ Superstar, which I got to see the 50th anniversary tour. The 50th anniversary is this year. And then I watched the movie, and it's so good. It's so good. But enough about, and I've been in more musicals, and I listen to a bunch of musicals, and they're all really, really great. One musical I actually listened to today that people don't talk about is Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds musical, which is like this synth techno rock opera thing, and it's awesome, and I love it. But it's not for everyone at all. Okay, so musicals have already taken up 7 minutes of this video. So on to the straight plays, or I'm gonna go ahead and rattle off my 3 favorite Shakespeare's. My favorite comedies: Midsummer, Can't Go Wrong, love Puck, love everything to do with the fairies and the back and forth and stuff. It's just smart and funny, and it can be adapted a lot of ways. Favorite tragedies: Hamlet. I know it's not super original, but there's a reason it's considered one of the greatest English works of all time. It's just packed. Some would say too packed with just these incredibly volatile and powerful and raw emotions, and it's amazing. And then my favorite history is Richard II, which is not a popular history because it's one of the ones that the histories don't get talked about that much compared to like Romeo and Juliet and The Tempest and Twelfth Night and Much Ado About Nothing. But Richard II is just give it a reread if you haven't read it, or give it a read, or if you can, give it a watch. David Tennant played Richard II for the Royal Shakespeare Company once, and that is available for purchase. It's worth it. It's worth a re-examination, in my opinion. Then plays I've been in, that I love. I was in my first lead role was in a comedy, The Foreigner by Larry Shue, and it's probably still my favorite, just straightforward comedy, not like dark comedy and stuff. I had the privilege of being in Raised in Captivity by Nikki Silver as well, and although I have very strong critiques of the choices I made in that performance, Raised in Captivity is also an incredible piece of work. And and I've been privileged enough to speak to Nikki Silver through online means and stuff. And other plays, Hand of God, great. Wait Until Dark, fun. The Frederick Knott, who wrote Wait Until Dark, really enjoyed writing specific stage direction to the point where it kind of locked everything in. So it was one of those things where it's just like, should we ignore the stage direction? Should we, etc. You know, that kind of thing. But those are all plays I've been in. Plays I haven't been in, but I've seen, in Octoroon by Brandon Jacob Jenkins, which is my favorite straight play of all time. I got to see it in Americus, Georgia, a few years ago. And it was also at the National Theatre in London for a while. Haunting, just incredibly powerful. I won't really spoil what it's about, because going in with having no idea what it was about, it shook me to my core. I'm going to go ahead and look at my play shelf real quick, too, just to rattle off some more. We've got How I Learned to Drive. Oy, that one's a, you need a stiff drink after How I Learned to Drive. Appropriate, I'm not sure which one it is, by Brandon Jacobs Jenkins as well. This Is Our Youth. Church and State by Jason Odell Williams. Excellent play. There's an Octoroon. The Women of Lockerbie. And I can't forget Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Another play, also a movie, another play and movie that you really need a real... If you weren't drinking and you're in really good health, after you see it, it just feels like you got your ass kicked. It just kicks your ass. And then, of course, there are... I can't forget John, The Flick, and the Aliens by Annie Baker, who's probably my favorite modern-day playwright. She is extraordinary. Definitely, I've had the privilege of seeing the Aliens, and it was amazing. And John had to give me an anxiety attack, and The Flick was just really, really powerful, and I really enjoyed that. And then, of course, I could go on and on about, like, Chekhov and Eugene O'Neill and George Bernard Shaw and Harold Pinter and all the other wonderful, wonderful people out there. Oh, Indecent by Paula Vogel. That one is, if you have Broadway HD, it's streaming on Broadway HD last I checked. And it might be on PBS, because I think they cycle through. Definitely watch that. That one's sad. That one's sad. Oh, that one's sad. Yeah, okay. But remember, theater just does not necessarily mean you have to have a script. Theater can be a magic trick. Theater can be a speech. Theater can be a sporting event. You know? Athletic theater is an incredibly valid form of theater, and, you know, WrestleMania is coming up. And it's a perfect way to just see, like, these performers, and how they want to perform for you. There are more plays and musicals and everything out there than you will ever be able to read or listen to. And, but there won't be more if we don't stop. If we stop writing and creating, for a performer, for a storyteller, that is energy. That is pure, raw energy. So, on World Theater Day, I hope that you pause and read some of your favorite plays. Maybe practice a couple of your favorite monologues, listen to some of your favorite musicals, because right now, going out to see theater on World Theater Day, not an option planet-wide. Everything's shut down. But there are plenty of ways to keep at it. So, I wanted to keep this short, and it's just as long as yesterday's. So, yay. I love you. I do. Talk to you hopefully tomorrow. Be well.